In this video, we're going to take a look at Autodesk Inventor 2013, Part and Assembly Enhancements. We'll start off here in this file by talking about enhancement to your end of part marker. Now, this doesn't really change the functionality of the end of part marker so much as it makes it easier for you to use the end of part marker. So we can still drag these all the way up to the top, just like before. We can drag it through our model to insert or roll up features. But we also have an option to right click and say move to top, or actually then move it anywhere we want, so it just gets it up there quicker. We can also right click anywhere in that history that's grayed out and say move the end of part marker to that location, and also move to end. So we can right click and move it all the way back down to the end of the part. So it's just less dragging, just a little bit more functional of an end of part marker. The next modeling enhancement comes with our error dialogues. It's very common that some people, even though the previews are nice, they still might not see that there's an error happening. So what we're going to do is put a fillet on here. And right now it's about 2, and I want to make that a little bit bigger. I want to make that 2.2. Well, we've all done it before. We forgot a decimal spot. So I'm going to make it 22. And you can see obviously there's an error there with the red lines. But you can also see a little error glyph that'll pop up behind your commands. You'll see this all over the place in 2013. It basically tells us the error before we actually compute the feature. So here I can go back and put my 2.2 in and then approve that to get the right sized fillet. There we have it. Now let's go over here and take a look at a new enhancement for a mini toolbar utility. In 2012, they added face draft for this functionality. In 2013, they've added the shell command to also take advantage of the on-screen manipulation. So what I have here is the shell tool. You can see the mini toolbar there to the right. You can choose all your standard items about the shell. The only thing I should mention you can't choose here is unique face thicknesses. So you still have to do that in the dialog. But for most shells that are uniform thickness, you can do that all right here now. So you have your inside and outside, you have your thickness value for it. I'm going to go ahead and go back to faces here though, and I want to start selecting faces to remove. So I'll pick this bottom face on this housing. And you notice it does give me a really nice preview of that. I do see an arrow there that I can drag on if I need to. And if the shell is getting too complex, the faces will tessellate a little bit to save on time and performance. But I actually do want to remove some more faces here. I just want to get rid of that interface there too. So I go ahead and click that one. So now I have a nice preview of the shell, make it a little bit bigger so you can see that. Maybe a little bit smaller. Now when I do that, it's going to cause a problem with the ribs on the other side. So I get to see that preview. And this is not something I want. So I'm going to go back into the shell and fix that. Just like the other mini manipulation commands, you can click on item, tell it to edit the feature. Again, any face that created that shell, you can click on and then say edit feature. It'll take you right back into the shell command, very quick, and I can make my change to make that shell actually make sense. The next item we have is an idea of what's called primitives. This is good for the newer users or power users that just want to create a shape really quickly. And we have box, cylinder, sphere, and a torus. So we'll start with the box one here. It has me pick a plane to start with. So I'll pick the XY plane here. And I'll go ahead and start drawing a center point rectangle. It defaults to that. And I can choose my sizing values here. I'll go ahead and just use my dynamic commands. I'll do 1.5. Hit tab, go over here and do 0.75. And then after I approve that, it automatically exits the sketch, it automatically starts extrusion, and I can start doing my extrude command with my mini toolbar here. And I can go ahead and drag either side with symmetric, asymmetric, either direction I want to help me create this box. I'll go ahead and approve that, and I'm done. So it's a much faster way to get a very simple shape, very simple prismatic shape done and out of the way. I can go back in and modify the dimensions if need be. There's nothing out of the ordinary about that. So I'm all set there. Now let me try to do a cylinder, but this time I won't actually size it with my dynamic values. So I'll go ahead and here and put the circle in. Okay, I'm just roughing the shape this time. There is no dimension on it. I'm going to go ahead and pull the cylinder up. That is an unconstrained sketch right now, and I'm just making a very simple height out of that. So let me get back into the sketch. Again, notice the icon now is now different. Once I fully constrain the sketch 2 over there, we'll get a little thumbtack on it. So I'll go ahead and put this value in. There we go. A little thumbtack appeared over there. Kind of grayed out, so it's hard to see, but it did create my cylinder. You can still go back and modify it just the same as you did before. And of course, there's a sphere and a torus, a little less commonly used commands, but they are definitely some basic primitives to use. Next up, we'll take a look at some base editing. Now, first off, I want to show you that when I right-click on a solid, I don't automatically get the edit form or edit copy of form. They did push those down to the end of the right-click menu, thank God. I can't tell you how many times I accidentally started that and launched Fusion and didn't want it. So here I'm going to do edit solid, and again, the solid edit command is my default here in the applications. If it's not set, it will launch Fusion still. Okay. So what I want to do here is I want to move these holes around. Okay, I want to make them bigger actually. I want to make them a bigger counterbore diameter. Okay, so you can still use your move face command. You know that command's been there for a release or two now. But when I use move face on my circular features, this doesn't work out so well. Normally I would have to go to Fusion to make these kind of changes to make that circumference or that diameter bigger. But the new offset tool here allows me to actually size these for radial and circular values and dimensions and faces, so that I don't have to leave this environment and go to Fusion to do it. So it just basically enhances that ability to do some dynamic press and pull with your base solid. Again, this is nothing that's parametric. It's all just direct modification inside this edit base environment. But now it's a little bit more robust for those who like it. Next up, we'll go over here to this cover plate, and we'll start off on this one by showing you how you can change properties of features all at once. So I'm going to hold down Shift, get 3 of these guys. You can change feature appearance now just by this method. Before you had to do it one at a time. So now you can pick multiple features and do your physical appearance change. Again, these are appearances now. They're not colors. They're actually appearances. We talked about that in our general enhancements video. So I'm going to make some changes to this. I'll make it magenta. Okay, that's my part color. You can see the features are still overridden to be beige. Here I'll go ahead and change my material, which again is another enhancement we talked about earlier in the general video. So I'm going to make this mild steel. And if I look at my eye properties over here, you can see that again, the physical automatically changed to mild steel. I didn't have to go here to do that. So again, very quick from that pull down up there. I do make note of that in this video again, because some people who don't instruct their teams about this might have people changing materials and thinking it's colors, and they're wrong. So it's very important your team knows that that actually changes material. So now it's a bronze, and I'll go ahead and clear the override on that magenta so you can see the bronze color. And again, the beige overrides, since they're feature level overrides, they still stick. Lastly, we talk about some frame update options here. So curved members, this is always a big sticking point for a lot of people using Frame Generator. They actually now work with end treatments, so miters and notches and trim to frames, that kind of stuff. So here I got my frame skeleton. It's already devised here. I'm going to go ahead and just turn the visibility of that off for right now. And I will take this curved member and I want to trim that to that frame. So before, in Inventor 2012 and previous, you couldn't notch that. You'd have to do some special operations to go in there and cut that away. So what I'm going to do here is trim this member, trim it to this face, and it's going to shoot that back for me. Nice and trim. Up here on the top, I'm going to do a miter on these guys. So I'm going to do a miter. I'm going to grab this guy first, this guy second, and I'll say OK to that. You'll see it's going to miter that curved to that straight piece very nicely. Now, I know what you're thinking already. How can it miter 2 corners of 2 curved members? Well, unfortunately, no. That is a limitation still. So I grabbed 2 curved members. I do get a message saying that that is still not supported. So you can go curve to straight, but you can't do curve and curve miterings. You can do curve and curve trim to frames, but just not that miter tool. So I thought I'd point that out to you. So let's do another trim extend to face here. So I'm going to trim this blue member back to the yellow face here and say okay. That does trim that back for me. And down here we'll do another miter. There we go, nice and clean. And we'll also do it on this curved pipe member here too. A lot of people use this for creating custom handrails or custom piping of some kind, and they want to create like a coping of this tube to the other tube. So right now you can see that tube is definitely not coped. It's going right into that other tube. So I'm going to go back and do my notching command. Now I'll notch the circular tube to the other tube. I'll say OK, and I'll go back to wireframe. You can see that that tube is perfectly notched around the other tube. Very nice enhancement there. For anyone using Frame Generator, these are some very much needed updates. Now, there's also one other update here that helps you align your members better. It's actually an align command. This helps you align the x-axes of your members together so that you can very quickly pick a non-standard rotation angle for your alignments. Now, there is a few other things I didn't have time to talk about here. So there is such one thing in part where you can window hole centers for the from sketch, and also some assembly enhancements.